Cool. Thank you.
You are live.
Thank you. We'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. Ms. Viviano, I ask that you take a roll call.
Lesko,
Aye.
Shamer,
Aye.
Swirsky, Baylor,
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
All committee members are present except for Swirsky.
Thank you very much. At this moment, we'll take a motion to accept the minutes of the previously held meeting.
So moved. Second.
Sounds like a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against? Great. The ayes have it. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I believe we do have a couple items that are up for public hearing today. So with that, I'll attempt to describe the procedures for this. What we do is we will swear in. First thing we'll do is we'll have a report from our planning department in reference to the conditional use request. After that report, we'll ask that those that wish to testify are sworn in from a representative of our law department. After that, we'll open up the public hearing. We'll ask for comments either in favor or against. And then what we'll do is we'll open it up to the committee for questions. And then after that, we'll open it up to all of council for questions as well. This evening, we're going to basically repeat exactly what we're doing, except what we do this afternoon. But the only significant difference is the committee will make a recommendation to all of council either to pass, to refer an item, or to vote down an item. So those are the procedures for this evening as well, but you'll be asked to be sworn in as well this evening at 7 o'clock for that public hearing as well. So with that, the first item that's up for public hearing today is the ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct an oversized garage at 280 Selden. Mr. Antonucci, I assume you're here for this?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Sheila Hammonds is requesting permission to construct 28 feet by 24 feet detached garage on the property. The maximum allowable size for an accessory structure on this lot is 506 square feet. And conditional use approval is necessary to exceed the code requirement by the 96 feet requested. The proposed garage is to be situated in the backyard of the property, south of the dwelling, 3 feet from the back property line along the south and 3 feet from the property line on the east. The new structure will be constructed to a height less than 15 feet with the front or north elevation containing a single garage door and a man door. It would replace a small 14.5 foot by 22.4 foot garage. The structure will be of wood frame construction, colored with light green shake siding with shingles on a gabled roof. The structure will have gutters and downspouts to mitigate water runoff. The requested garage constructed at that location on the property would not be out of character for the neighborhood, would be for residential purposes only, and would add value to the property without impacting on neighbors. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Antonucci, for that wonderful report. We will now ask, is there anyone here that's going to testify in reference to this conditional use request at 280 Selden Avenue? Anyone here going to wish to testify? I don't see anyone, or possibly someone has signed in. There's Sheila Hammonds.
This is her.
Oh, okay, very good, Sheila Hammonds. I would like to ask that you be sworn in from a representative of our law department before we open up the public hearing.
Okay.
Ms. Hammonds, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing anyone else. We'll open up the public hearing and I'll ask, is there anyone here wishing to testify in favor of the conditional use request at 280 Selden? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Ms. Hammonds, I don't know if you're in favor or not, but
I'm in favor.
Okay, if you'd like to comment, we would welcome that.
There's two of us that live in the house, and the one-car garage is just not enough, especially if we have two cars. We'd have to park one in the street, and I really don't want to do that. That's why I want a two-car.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hammonds. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Stick around for a few minutes, please, in case there's questions. I'm going to ask procedurally, is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this particular item? Anyone else? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone against? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and open up for questions from the committee. I see Representative Kamer's hand is up. Mr. Kamer, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just got one question for Mike Antonucci and then possibly a comment. Mike, did we have any neighbors with any concerns or complaints that have come forward?
No, we haven't had any responses from the mailouts or folks at Planning Commission in opposition.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to see if it's possible. I asked the committee if we can take moving forward, if there's no other concerns from council members, if we can take just a week's time so I can just drive by the property and just take a look throughout the neighborhood. And then hopefully next week we can move forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments in reference to this conditional use request? 280, any other questions or comments from anyone on council? Anybody? Cool. Okay, with that, we'll now move on to item number 2, which is authorizing a conditional use to place a rooftop sign at 1670 Firestone Parkway. Mr. Antonucci, you here on this one too?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Bridgestone America's Tire Operations are requesting permission to relocate the iconic Firestone sign from its original location atop the Firestone Plant 1 building at 1200 Firestone Parkway and install it on the roof of their Advanced Tire Production Center at 1670 Firestone Parkway. Roof signs are not permitted per zoning code, therefore the sign requires conditional use. Bridgestone no longer owns the Plant 1 building, and they are in the process of relocating race car tire production from the Plant 1 building to their Advanced Tire Production Center. The Firestone sign had been deteriorating, and it was removed from the roof of Plant 1 in December of 2020. It's currently being refurbished. Bridgestone proposes to install the sign on the southeast corner of the roof of the Tire Production Center at the corner of Firestone Parkway and Wilbeth Road. The sign is made up of individual letters mounted to a new steel structure. The sign is approximately 11 feet high by 90 feet long. The total boxed area of lettering is approximately 1,000 square feet. The supporting steel sign structure is 20 feet high. The sign's existing neon lights will be replaced with energy-efficient LED lamps. The Office of Integrated Development believes it is appropriate for the sign to be relocated to a current Bridgestone tire production facility in the neighborhood, keeping this important part of Akron's industrial heritage in the city. The Urban Design and Historic Preservation Commission reviewed the proposed sign relocation on April 6, 2021. They approved the project with the condition that the lighting level on the sign be monitored to ensure that it does not negatively impact residences. And Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval subject to that condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. I'm going to ask if there's anyone that's going to wish to testify before the committee be sworn in from a representative from our law department.
Yes, this is Tara Adams.
Okay, all of those wishing to speak during this public hearing, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Very good. We'll open up the public hearing at this point and ask if there's anyone wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request at 1670 Firestone Parkway. If you could please provide for the committee your name and address.
This is Jill Pfeiffer Ward, 450 Grant Street, Akron. I'm with Environmental Design Group.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Do you have anything you wish to offer reference this conditional use request?
Just to echo some of the things that Mike said, it was a pretty comprehensive summary, but The century-old Firestone sign that was once located on the Plant One roof, restoration is going well, anticipated to be complete in mid-June, is anticipated to be placed on the roof, and the steel skeletal frame is very reminiscent of the old mounting system. So Bridgestone is making every effort to just restore that very historic Firestone sign that is such an integral part of Akron's industrial heritage and of the Firestone neighborhood, and just very excited about the project.
Mr. Chairman, I can screen share some drawings if it's the wish of the commission.
The committee, yes, sir, Mr. Antonucci. We'd
Sorry,
be
committee.
happy to see your drawings.
Except I'm getting unable to screen share.
Okay.
It's telling me I'm disabled.
Oh, uh-oh. Okay.
I think we're both trying to press it at the same time.
Oh,
All right,
Sorry.
Sarah, you press it.
there we go.
You should be able to now. Thanks.
Okay. So maybe Jill would want to kind of explain what we're looking at. So here's the building at Wilbeth and Firestone Parkway. Sign would go right about here on the new
Yeah,
building.
sorry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was muted. That's, and correct, that's facing Firestone Parkway. And that's on the northwest corner of West Wilbeth Road and Firestone Parkway. That's a rendering of the picture, yep. And that's that Bridgestone's Advanced Tire Production Building, right? That was recently completed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good. I'm going to ask, is there anyone else wishing to speak to the committee in reference to the conditional use request in favor? 1670 Firestone Parkway. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, please. This is Kara Adams from Bridgestone, 2861 Crow's Nest Circle, Uniontown, Ohio. First of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. We're really excited to be able to keep not only race tire production here in Akron, but also to keep our sign in Akron. It was very important to us when we were looking at locations that we knew that this was a really historic sign and important to the Akron community. One thing that I did want to mention is the sign is not only retrofitted with energy efficient LED lighting, but there will be a dimmer so we can adjust brightness if it is an issue.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Adams.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone against? Okay, very good. We'll close the public hearing and we'll ask if there's any comments. I see Representative Kamer has his hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity. I have a few. Obviously, this is in Ward 7. Mike Antonucci, my first question is, did anyone come forward to the city or the planning commission with any concerns or complaints?
No opposition for the neighborhood.
All right, good. Mr. Chairman, I would like to see, just for the record, ask Mrs. Adams, how long was the sign previously on Plant 1? Or how many years? If she has that.
I think you're still muted, Ms. Adams.
Okay, my apologies. We have pictures and documentation from some historical information that we found that shows the sign there on the 40s. And there are postcards of the Firestone building in the late 1910s that have the picture of the sign there as well.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a few more questions.
Yes, sir.
Please, thank you. One more for Mrs. Adams or maybe Mike Antonucci. Have we came up with the possibility, is the sign going to be lit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, through the late hours?
So at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be lit 24 hours a day. One thing with the programmable dimmer switch is we're looking at the possibility of making it brighter near sundown, and then we can dim it towards the evening. So we're looking at programmable controls.
All right, thank you. Obviously, I'm a huge supporter of Firestone, and I'm in support of this. I welcome it at the new location. I want to thank Firestone for keeping their tires here being built in Akron. It's been a long legacy. I would just hopefully, I know it might slow the pace down a little bit in the process, but hopefully the committee would be okay if we took a week or 2 weeks time just to make sure no concerns come through. And obviously I've already drove by numerous times. But I just want to make sure before we okay this, because I'm hoping that this sign will stay at this location for hopefully another 100 years. Hopefully that's okay with everybody, because I know it does slow things down, but hopefully everyone's okay with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. Any other comments, questions from anyone references conditional use requests? Okay, very good. We'll close up this portion and move on to the balance of the agenda. You both are invited, as well as the petitioner for the first item that we had. This evening at 7 o'clock, we'll have an additional public hearing. After that public hearing, the committee will make a recommendation to all of council. And so you're invited back this evening, and we'll basically replicate the procedures that we followed this afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. I'm going to recommend time on the balance of the agenda, short of any questions or comments from anyone. And we can go ahead and move on to the new list of legislation that's before us. And okay, here we are. The first item is ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a lease agreement with the Cascade Plaza Associates, a limited liability corporation, to rent office space at 1 Cascade. Is there someone here wishing to make comment reference to this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Curtis Baker from AMATS. We are the ones requesting the resolution or the ordinance. AMATS has been in the Ocasek building the last 3 years. As that time has gone on, our rent has increased quite a bit, to the point now where we're paying about 60 or 70,000 more in rent than we had been. I think the nail in the coffin was we received an 18% rent increase this year in January. And so we reached out to OID and requested, could we look at potential space that might be more fitting to what we need? And we found the PNC building to be very accommodating to us. We're able to shrink our footprint a little bit, but also save about $60,000 a year. And that money goes right into our planning efforts, including like our speed table initiatives, our better blocks, our bike and brainstorms, all those types of things. And so we think this is a win for our organization, and are looking for your support and hoping that if possible, this could be on tonight's agenda, as we are trying to move in by July 1st, if possible.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Baker. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in reference to this proposal? Anyone else? Okay, is there any questions or comments from any committee members? Any questions or comments? Council members, any questions or comments? Mr. Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Baker, for the information. Definitely, you answered most of my question, which is going to be about cost and cost savings. What is the current annual cost to rent at Ocasek?
Yeah, so our projections for this year is about $144,000. The new lease agreement will be about $85,000 a year. So that's the spread of difference between the two leases.
Okay, and was this sorry, just to follow up, was this budgeted for in this past budget that we passed?
Yes, unfortunately, though, the Ocasek building did bill us late last year, and so we weren't able to get it on. We were actually being billed for about 18 months in the year 2021, just because the Ocasek building was so late. So we probably will need to do a budget adjustment, but actually the move will help necessitate that because it will help make it less than what we would need to adjust for because it is, we are saving about $5,000 a month with the move.
Okay, thank you very much.
Further questions or comments? Okay. Mr. Baker, I believe I heard correctly, you are wanting to see this possibly pass this evening?
Yes, if that is possible, we are trying to get the lease signed and give the contractor 6 weeks to get it ready for us to move in. But if that's not possible, we understand. We would, just look to you and your discretion.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Baker. We try to go a little slow to make sure everyone gets a chance. However, though, given the dynamics of the, difference in cost and so on and so forth, it seems like it's fairly simple. I would ask you this, okay? I would ask you to send us a copy of the. Somebody else have a question? I would ask that you send us a copy of the proposed lease very quickly. And I'm going to ask tonight, I'll make sure everybody checks off, and if everybody's okay with, give them a little bit of time to do so. But given the fact that you are in the middle of a move and that this will save some funds with AMATS, our partner, we plus appreciate everything that you do, Mr. Baker. We really appreciate it. And so with that, if you could just send that to us, forward that, and I'm going to ask my colleagues who are on this meeting and any others, I believe we have almost all the committee members here to really take a good look at that lease real quickly. And then we'll ask for a vote this evening. Okay.
No, that sounds excellent. And I'll provide additional context as well. Is it best just to send it to you, Councilman, or should I send to Mike and have him distribute?
Mike is cool. Yeah, he's pretty reliable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Just a joke. No, thank you very much, Mr. Baker. Again, we appreciate everything that you do. So with that, I'm going to ask a committee member for a motion to suspend the rules with a favorable report.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. Is there a second out there?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Very good. The ayes have it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. The next item is number 2, which is authorizing the purchase of 125 West Ralston Avenue pursuant to the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Is there someone here wishing to present on this particular item?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Jimmy Aiken.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, Mr. Aiken. Sorry. There's so many different screens on here.
That's okay.
Mr.
Actually,
Aiken.
Jim, I'm actually on, Jim.
Oh,
so
you
I-
on there, Chris? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of committee. Back in November, if you guys remember, we passed a piece of legislation where let the mayor apply for a grant for acquisition of properties down there off of Main and Wilbeth. So this is the first property that we have met with the owner, and we've did an appraisal. We've made an offer to the owner. He accepted the offer. So what our plans are, Mr. Chair, there's 9 properties. This owner, unfortunately, was displaced from his home. He experienced repetitive loss due to stormwater and groundwater. So that's why we brought this one in separately. We are going to bring in 2 more properties, probably within 2 or 3 weeks. And then there'll be 2 more pieces of legislation for the 4 through 6, and then 7 through 9 properties. So if you remember, we received a grant, or we worked with FEMA. So the total project is like 1.2 million for these 9 properties. That's with demo. The federal government was like 922,000, and then the other 306,000 was split between us and the state. So our share is 153, and then the state share is $153,000.
Mr. Little, is this reference the, you'd mentioned 9 properties, and I don't know if everyone's on their screen here, but are those, I assume, are they the ones that are on that block that's encompassed around Woodsdale, Hackberry, and Ralston? All roads?
Absolutely. So there's a couple on Linwood, not Lindale, Basswood, Ralston, Hackberry, and Basswood. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
So we took, over the last 10 years, like I said, repeated calls from sewer or other departments of flooding in basements, damage to the foundations. This is not in a floodplain. We did determine that, but we were able to obtain this grant to help these residents out.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Little. Thank you for that report. Questions or comments from anyone in particular on the committee? Any questions or comments? Anyone on council have any questions or comments? Mr. Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the information, Mr. Little. Just looking at this briefly, it seems like this house is one in from the end of the street there in Ralston. It seems like that the house that is at the end there directly to the left it seems like, things were kind of overgrown and everything like that. Is that going to be one of the 9 properties you purchased?
It is not, sir. And it's when we start going down there, it was like, why is this house having problems and that one is not? So we did not visit every property. We did notify the area that we were doing this. And we went by just a history of calls. And it seems like some of these basements may have been deeper than other ones. So they're maybe into the groundwater more than the other ones where they weren't experiencing the problems of the sump pumps not keeping up, or multiple sump pumps in these houses, and the water just flowing into these basements.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Any further comments or questions? Mr. Little, is the consent agenda okay on this item?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Can I hear a motion for consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second out there?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good. The ayes have it. Okay, cool. Item number 3 is the ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an amended, restated real estate purchase and development agreement with High Street Associates Limited Liability Corporation, providing for the sale and redevelopment of city-owned property and the leasing of a portion of the redeveloped property by the city. Is there someone here wishing to speak on this item?
I am.
Oh, yes, Mr. Wheat?
Yes. So the city of Akron is selling 146 South High Street to High Street Associates LLC, $2,290,000 for redevelopment purposes. They are going to have their partners, Western Acquisitions Company, develop the building into a mixed-use facility with residences and office space. And the city of Akron will lease some office space from this company as well. We're going to use TIF to pay for the entire. TIF will pay for the entire purchase price.
Thank you, Mr. Wheat. Any other comments, reference to this particular item? Any questions from any committee members? I will, I believe, attached to the ordinance, I think it is. Is that where I got this? Yeah, this is the amended, restated real estate purchase and redevelopment agreement. Going to ask everyone on council to take a look. This is attached to the legislation. Okay. So any questions or comments from anyone on the committee? Anyone? Ms. Samples?
Can find my unmute. I'm looking for the attachment that you were talking about, Jeff. I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it?
Maybe I'm
It's
missing
the
it.
second one, I think. Item number 3. Yeah, it's the second item. On mine, anyways, it's
Okay,
attached.
hold on. Okay.
Like
Does it
20
have-
pages.
Okay, I got it.
Got it.
I'm just a little wondering who High Street and Associates was. What group is that? This from Akron, this,
Yeah, Councilwoman Samples, I can actually, we have a representative of High Street Associates attending this
Okay.
meeting right now. I can introduce Mr. Ed Asher to you.
Okay.
You can follow, you can answer any questions about the development itself. And of course, who he is.
Okay,
Mr.
yeah.
Asher, you're welcome to introduce yourself. That's okay, Ms. Samples.
Thank you. If you could, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, I'd be glad to. My name is Ed Asher. I have had a career in real estate going back about 35 years now, primarily with a company called Weston. Weston's a family business. It's owned by our family. We got interested in the property several years ago, and I have formed a limited liability company by the name of High Street Associates. I'm partnering up with my first cousin, Larry Shia, out of Richmond, Virginia, and we plan to redevelop the property into 97 apartment units for lease and approximately 20,000 square feet of office space to be leased back to the city.
So on the apartments, is that some apartment leasing? We're talking about like studio apartments, 1 2-bedroom.
It's primarily 1-bedroom apartments. There will be some 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Samples. Okay, very good. Mr. Malik, I see your hands up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had similar questions along the lines of Ms. Samples. I know that the prior iteration of this was intended to be about 60 apartments. And I think one of the quoted figures I saw in the paper was $1,500 a month for the rents. Do we have a sense of can you kind of talk a little bit, Mr. Asher, about how those plans changed and what the rents might be for those 1 and 2 bedrooms?
Yes, this is a real estate development. Plans tend to change as you get more information as we move through the process, and that's what's continued going on for quite a while here at the property. So we are looking at rents. I think you're going to want it being less than 50 square foot. What we have to do is compete in the market with other projects down there, specifically the Bowery and the Law Building, which are on the same block as we are. So we have to compete and provide rent.
Thank you, sir. I guess, the only comment that I have is, that this is a very complicated deal. I'm sure that, it'll be helpful to take some time and all of us to kind of dig into this. The one thought that I had reading through it initially, that I know we've been having a lot of conversations this year as council about affordable housing. I don't know whether there's some affordability component that could be included in a project like this. So that's sort of my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. Was that a question or a statement? I'm sorry.
I think it was a statement. Certainly anyone's welcome to weigh in. I do have one more question though, which is, I saw that TIF is included here. I don't know whether Mr. Bowman or someone else might be able to mention, are there any additional incentives that are included?
The TIF would go to, is going to go to pay down the purchase price of the building. That is that would be the incentive. That the main one that is involved. I don't think that there's anything else of note.
Thank you.
I don't know if you would consider this an incentive, but to assist in nailing down all the financing that would be needed for the project, they needed to have a commercial tenant in place. So the city has agreed to be a commercial tenant, although we have the ability to find a subtenant to swap in for us, but that was necessary in order for the project to get state historic tax credits.
Thank you, Ms. Roth. I guess that raises a follow-up question that just keeps coming, which is, I know that obviously there have been city offices in that building previously. Do we have thoughts as to what city offices might be located in the building once it's redeveloped?
Well, since it'll be, fairly nice and new, I'm pretty sure every department will raise their hand to volunteer to move into some newer looking offices. But until the work is actually done and we're closer to, to see what the city's needs would be, there's really no decision.
Thank you.
I can tell you I won't be in the office though.
Maybe council offices will move down there.
There you go.
Mr. Malik, you took my joke. Very good. Further questions or comments? Okay, very good. I would like to entertain a motion. Again, we have a 20-page document here, the amended purchase and development agreement that I'm going to ask everyone to review. I'd like to entertain a motion that we refer this item.
Motion to refer.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The ayes have it. With that, the planning committee is adjourned. Thank you all. Turn it over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, everyone. Our next committee meeting of the day will be the Public Service Committee, and that will begin at 2 o'clock. Those committee members are Samples, Hamer, Swirsky, Lombardo, and McKittrick. Again, Public Service at 2 o'clock. Thank you.